I'm Will Beecham, ICIS Chemical Business Deputy Editor, and I'm here with Paul Hodges, who's the Chairman of International Echem. Hello, Paul.
Hello, Will.
So, Paul's written us an article on the circular economy, which is hugely in the news at the moment. Started off with the EU introducing its targets and then industry commitments following along from that. Now it's happening in the US. It was at the top of the ACC's agenda in the recent meeting. And chemical CEOs are waking up to this challenge finally. I thought I could ask you, first of all, what do you think has driven this up the political and business agenda so quickly?
Well, I think that what's always happens with these kind of things, and you can look back at formative events such as the ozone layer and CFCs, all the way through, is that the issue is there and it's bubbling along, and then something happens to suddenly focus public attention. So, you can go back a couple of years up, I'm a global expert with the World Economic Forum. We produced a very good report, I thought, with a lot of chemical industry, polymer industry input on the new plastics economy in association with the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, written by McKinsey. A very good report. This was the one that said, if we carry on like this, then we're going to have as much weight of plastics in the ocean as fish. And people go, oh, we can't have that. Right. But it didn't grip people's imagination. And then you get Sir David Attenborough, sort of iconic naturalist, television person, 92 years old, and he does what may well be his final television series, Blue Planet 2. And he has this picture of a mother whale holding her dead baby whale, which has been died because of being fed with plastic. And he has all these other images of birds that have died because the stomach's open and so on. And at that point, you connect with people in a way that says, I never realized that. When I threw that plastic bag on the ground, I didn't mean that it was going to kill. Oh my goodness, I've got to do something. And that's it. So you've now got the emotional involvement. As human beings, we can't, statistics are one thing. No, we can't let this go on.
It's interesting how there's been an environmental movement for decades, and now it seems like everyone's an environmentalist.
Yes. I mean, what it's that human beings are not necessarily very good at thinking through the consequences of their actions, but when you present them with live footage like that, and it's David Attenborough, it's not something you can question. You know that he is the leading person in the world, and he has been for 50 years. So that's it, really. It's done. And the issue. I mean, I'm delighted with the way that the industry is reacting, because if we carried on head in the sand over the last 6 months, it would have been a disaster. But now we have an opportunity to make sure that we keep ahead of the game.
Well, let's discuss that then. Why does it matter for polymer producers in the chemical industry, the circular economy? Does it threaten current business models?
Well, if we do nothing, then we won't have a single-use plastic business in 5 years' time. In other words, 55% of polyethylene will not be sold anymore, because all the major brand owners have said, we are not going to use single-use packaging anymore. There's a commitment out there from Nestle, from Unilever, from McDonald's, from all of these big companies now, even Walmart and so on, saying by 2025 we are going to have all our single-use plastic is going to be recyclable, reusable, or compostable. So if we do nothing, we lose our business, 30% nearly of polypropylene as well. However, the question is, why aren't we recycling? Because it's perfectly possible to recycle polyethylene, it's perfectly possible to recycle polypropylene and most polymers. Why is it not being done? It's actually not our fault in the industry. It's the fault of the waste industry. The waste industry has been happy to throw away this valuable resource. I use in the article the numbers from Plastics Europe. Europe produces 60 million tons of plastics every year. Europe has capacity to recycle 5.3 million tons. We've been badly let down by the waste industry. That's the problem, and that's what we've got to solve.
So for the chemical industry then, how can it get involved? How can it seize this as an opportunity rather than a threat to its business model?
Well, we have, if you want to recycle plastic, it's a chemical process. I mean, I'm on the board of Recycling Technologies. We have a pyrolysis technology. Other people, Agilix and so on, are doing their own things. You know, the simple 101 for recycling, you can do some biomechanical. In other words, you can have an infrared light that tells you this is all PET or something. But if it's a mixed polymer, which is most plastic packaging is mixed, that doesn't help you. So now you need to go to pyrolysis technology, and that's where the industry obviously understands pyrolysis technology, so it can form partnerships and it can go forward. And you know, as I say, I'm not suggesting that recycling technology is necessarily going to be the winner in this game. It could well be somebody else. But the crucial thing is we already have plans to recycle 10 million tons. With industry support, which it looks like we could get, then we could double that or treble it very quickly, because the industry's got tremendous resource in this area now that it's aware of the issue and what needs to be done. So yeah, we can revolutionize this.
Isn't it going to require a huge change in chemical companies' business models? Current business models are based around purely on petrochemicals, on using virgin feedstocks. It's going to require a sea change, isn't it, in terms of business models?
Yeah, it is, absolutely. Yeah, and that's why it's difficult. But you know, people, that's the encouraging thing of the last 6 months. People have grasped that. CEOs have grasped that, as you say. The American Chemistry Council last week, everybody's on board with this. So the question is, how do we do it? There's no, there are always 4 questions in life: why, what, when, and how. We know why we're doing. We've got to decide what we're doing, how we do it, and when. So we've got to get on with that now. And that's what we do. But the issue is, and it comes back to demographics, and you and I have talked about demographics in the past. We're an aging population in the Western world. We don't have a lot of demand for stuff anymore. Sharing economy, all these things that we've talked about. So what we're now moving away from is a focus. We're moving away from the focus on upstream, a supply push. Instead, we're becoming demand-led. What does the consumer want? That's what we have to provide. And what that means is that we now move from using oil and gas to using recycled or waste plastic as our core feature. Because if you use waste plastic, then you are recycling, and you've got the circular economy, the closed loop. So really bad news for OPEC, I'm afraid. Really bad news for people who think they're going to sell a lot of oil and gas into petrochemicals and plastics. Sorry, you're not. You know, if you come back to the Plastics Europe numbers, only 5 million tons of recycling capability in Europe at the moment. Why isn't that at least 30 million tons? Right? That we get to that level, and we're on the front foot again, and we can look consumers in the eye and the legislators. We've got that volume. That means 25 million tons of feedstock from oil and gas won't be needed anymore. It's great. I mean, you're actually now in the position where you're going to be paid in many cases to take the waste plastic, because the alternative for waste plastic is putting it in landfill, which costs money in many countries. So this is a really big opportunity, because if you are a plastics producer, do you care whether you're using oil or gas or waste plastic? Of course not. What you want is to have your market. You want to have a market focus. So there's a really big opportunity here. But as you say, we have to start looking down the value chain and forget about the worries upstream, which of course is good news, because it means we won't have to worry so much about what OPEC is doing and whether they're trying to drive up the price and everything else.
We've seen a couple of examples that LyondellBasell and Borealis investing in recycling areas. Are you optimistic that it'll become more widespread?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think there's no question. I mean, if you'd asked me 6 months ago, I would have been very nervous, because there were very few signs of change. People were kind of, well, let's just wait and see on this. But yeah, the industry is filled with very intelligent women and men, and they've got to grips with this now. They've realized it's not going to go away. Most of them. Some people haven't. Well, unfortunately, those people will probably go out of business. That's the way of it. If you miss paradigm shifts like that, you go out of business. But if you catch the wave, boy, have we got 10 or 20 or 30 years of really profitable revenue and profit growth ahead of us, because this is going to be absolutely a wonderful opportunity.
Thank you very much, Paul.
Thank you, Will.